What's up, folks? Um, this is gonna be a little different. I'm not working on. We're not gonna work on anything today. We're just gonna have a conversation. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about a situation that happened this week, and it it persuaded the week to kind of go a little downhill. But it wasn't a major influence, but it definitely contributed to it. I had this week wasn't the greatest, okay, because of some of the decisions I made. Not anyone else though, but again, it persuaded it. This lady actually tried to screw me over. Tried. Now, mind you, job is done. She paid. We made our exchange. She got the hell on. But this is one of those situations where um, we got to listen to our clients, especially new people, or just people just in general. Because I mean, the thing is, we don't know a lot of their intentions, what they're trying to do, because they don't know the intentions of what we're trying to do. Both of us have to be vetted, but who's going to go the extra mile to ensure that things are documented properly and they're getting well taken care of? Because I'd imagine the referral system is pretty credible to give you a little leg up on the situation. Hey, I'm recommending Brad for a service. Great guy. You know, he's not going to do you wrong. Here's his number. Came from a credible person, right? So I'd imagine if you're getting referred, you would essentially, I'm not saying all, but you should be in good standing. Now I honor a lot of my work, and I've had some issues with vehicles and things that I fixed. Even though things went good, things also went awry. I had to bite the bullet. I have to go and fix things that don't go right. I have I would feel for myself, I'm trustworthy and have a good reputation. If it screws up after, even though I test everything to make sure it don't come back, I have a good proficiency rate. It gets done fast, it gets done right, and I have a 95% chance you're not coming back for that same issue because everything gets test driven after the fact. So I say it to say, to build on the case that, I'm going to take care of the people I deal with, and I have personal accountability. But personal accountability is good to a certain extent, because I had a lady tell me, "Hey, Brad, you're a little too honest," and she didn't bring her car back. It's because something happened and I owned up to it. It's crazy. But then again, again, that's up to debate. I don't want to get too far off topic. Let me tell you what happened. Me and a lady, it was a new customer. A credible person referred them to me. She needed some. This is not the car, by the way. This is my avatar. She needed some suspension work done. Customer number one. I'm very reluctant about people buying their own parts. I'm very reluctant about it. But I said, you know what? Screw it. Easy. I've done a lot of these. I'll take it. Because a lot of times what happens, people buy their own parts and they get the wrong thing or is improperly assessed. And everything that you can imagine happened in this particular case. All right. Not only did she get the wrong parts, in some instances because she got the wrong CV axle, she also was needed additional stuff. So you understand how that worked. They bought their own stuff. Now they have to go get that part. Well, pick up the part, go get it, and come back, and hopefully they have it in stock. And a lot of times they're trying to save money too. So majority of the time when people get their own stuff, price either goes up or I just say, no, I'm fine. I don't want the job. So this lady had a 2009 Honda Accord, 2009 Honda Accord V6. It needed some suspension work. Ball joint broke. Things were replaced. It came from two different shops. There was a guy that wound up putting the motor in it first. He did a great job, by the way. Took him a while because it was an older guy. Did a great job putting the motor in it. There was some issues with that guy from her. So not only did she have issues with the guy because it took a long time, kind of understandable, but the guy had health problems too. She went to some Spanish people. Mind you, I don't know if you know, but I'm brown, by the way, black. So black guy put the motor in, had some health problems. Spanish people did some suspension work. replace the upper control arm and stuff. Now, you listen to your customers. Like I said, we have to vet these people. Listening to her, she's sitting there saying, "Oh, well, yeah, the Spanish people, they were trying to get over on me because I'm a girl, and they upcharged me $11." And I was like, "I'm not paying this $11." And I'm thinking back in my head, who gives a flying fuck about $11? It's like, if they mispriced it, pay the money if this is getting fixed right, you know. But she made them take off the $11. So not only did she buy her own parts, so she's trying to save money, she already had issues with 2 other people. So what do you think is going to happen with me? I've been through this. I've been doing this over a decade. I already know what bullshit looked like, you know. And I'm going to save the whole prejudice thing till later. But you already know, you already got some red flags here. We're establishing a relationship. If the lady already had issues with 2 other boyfriends, she was bitching complaining they won't pay enough money. What do you think is going to happen with you? Well, you're not spending enough money on her. Same thing. You already see that with the people that she established a relationship with for her car, she couldn't stay. There was no stability. So she wound up having issues with him and separating or divorcing the relationship. So the guy put a motor in, issue. Spanish people put control arm on. She complained about $11. She bought her own parts. I get the vehicle. Oh, before I got the vehicle, she wanted a price for everything. She said, how much is it going to cost for X, Y, and Z? $500. She bought her own parts. Again, price goes up. You get your own parts because you already know they're going to have high expectations. I want a warranty. No, you're not getting a warranty on your stuff. You bought your own stuff. That's not going to fly. I didn't buy it. I can't file labor claims if something go wrong. I didn't diagnose it. I can't ensure that we're getting the right stuff. Okay, so we already established a cost. Now, y'all may charge y'all prices. Hell, for what I did on this vehicle, y'all may do it for $100. No, not in this demographic. All right. For everything I did, I'm not going to go give you an itemized list of things. $500. So we already had a baseline of $500. As a matter of fact, I got a representation for you. This is $500 right here. All right. That's what that looks like in 20s, that is. So we already had a baseline agreement of $500 she needs to pay. Nothing more, nothing less for the things that she got. She comes, and this is in text message too, by the way. And she thumbs up that text message, by the way, of knowing she owes $500, assuming that I replace the things that she need on that vehicle. So she comes, I introduce myself, we talk for a little bit. She runs her own business. Now, here's where the prejudice come into play. I got to think about, I'm going to say it. I got to think about black women and weave wearing, piercings, inarticulate. You know, they can't, they speak in phrases and little colloquials or whatever. You know, I got to think it's like, I talk to anybody. I'm social. But I mean, if you walk like a duck, quack like a duck, I got to think you going to start flying like a damn duck too. You know? So that is living up to an expectation. That's what this situation is building up to. All the signs, all the red flags. So me and her sit there and have a conversation. Oh yeah, she does hair. I mean, everything came complete except for the car being a Nissan and having a furry steering wheel. That's like, seriously. That's hood around here. That's a little ghetto. I don't have clientele like that. And that's part of the reason why I don't have a storefront. One of the main reasons. I can't deal with a lot of different personalities. So I go for the referral system. So anyway, so we talk, look at the car. I look at the car. So I say, you may only need, just the CV axle. And if that's the case, then shoot, you're probably just looking at $180 for that just to put it on. Again, everybody got their own price. All right. This is still for cleaning and all this other stuff and installation. She's like, oh, okay. I said, you never know. I said, when I look at it, I'll be able to assess it better. But when I pulled off the wheel and started inspecting things, the CV axle When the ball joint broke, it separates on the Hondas. So they threw it back together, put zip ties around I got some junk pile right here. I have some CV axle right here. So what happened when the CV axle break, this will separate from the yoke, and then the shaft will come out. They put it back together, took the snap ring off, and then just put some zip ties on there. No big deal. All right. So I got that. I saw that they did that. That's why we're replacing CV axle. So mind you, she has the wrong CV axle. She got a Ford manual and not an automatic. So she needed to pick that up and return that. But unfortunately, they didn't have one in stock. Unfortunately. And cost was an issue too. So the axle would have been $200 or something for the axle they have in stock, but she couldn't afford it. Now, mind you, the baseline pay for what she owed was $500. All right, just want to keep throwing that out there. So I keep the CV axle, all right, because she took some of the other things she got back. She had a CV axle, 2 lower ball joints, and a wheel bearing and hub kit. She takes the wheel bearing and hub kit back, 1 ball joint back, and gets her money back. I have 1 ball joint and a CV axle, and she needed rear brakes too. She went and bought the brakes, brought them to me. They were right. So now I need to do, I'm pretty much telling you what I'm doing to the car now. So now I had to do the rear brakes, pressing the lower ball joint, CV axle. But when I go to press in the ball joint, there was a problem, because when the original ball joint broke, it opened up the bore. So now it's a safety issue. So not only does she need brakes because the brakes in the back are worn out, but that the socket for the ball joint is bored out. So you put the new one in there and it just wobbles around. You can't tighten it up. So she needs a lower control arm. So now I'm having to replace the lower control arm. Okay. So essentially the price did drop a little bit because she didn't need the things that she needed originally, but it got made up because now I have to install a lower control arm. All right. Everybody got their own price. So I call her and said, hey, look, you need some additional components. And it was going to wind up being additional like $300, like $800 total. Okay. She said she couldn't afford that. All right. So technically we need a CV axle, lower ball joint, lower control arm, rear brakes, and all that total would have been like $800. I'm just going to tell you, $800. But mind you, if I was to buy it, because she'd had the wrong CV axle, mind you, the axle was over $200 something. So we need that, but we didn't get it because it was the $800 was too high. So I had to drop the price and reuse the CV axle. Now it's at $600. Okay. So the labor got reduced and the part brought it up an additional $100. So mind you, we have a $500 base price. What we're dealing with, $500. That's what we agreed on labor-wise, what she was supposed to bring originally. Now we're simply at $600 with doing the rear brakes, lower control arm, ball joint, and yeah, that's it. Those 3 items. All right. So we talk about that. The one lady that was talking on the phone with her and me simultaneously, I had to explain things in layman's terms so we were all on the same page. When we all agreed upon a price, because she couldn't afford the $800, she already knows she owes the $500 through text message. So we had to go up to $600 because we had to prioritize things. So the old CV axle got left back on there. The lower control arm got replaced. Lower ball joint got pressed in, and the rear brakes. $600. All right. I get the job done. She comes to pay and pick up the car. And mind you, I bought the control arm. All right. She comes to pick up the car. We talk for a little bit, and she says, well, here you go. She hands me money, and she hands me $180. Uh-oh, there's a 20 missing. She hands me $180. So I when she handed it to me, I mean, I've been dealing with cash money for many, 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 many years. Now, this was thin. And I felt like, hey, it's a little thin here. I know how $600 feel. I said, hey, you paying the rest with Cash App? She said, what do you mean? We agreed upon $500 originally, and we talked on the phone that you couldn't afford the $800, so we have to go with the $600 cost. Oh, I didn't understand. Yeah. Okay. I know exactly where this is going, so I nipped that shit in the bud real quick. I said, I know what you're trying to do, okay? And I talked to her and her cousin right there. You and I all had an understanding that $600 was a price that we agreed upon, okay? And I just like I'm saying, we agreed upon a price. We knew what we were paying. I'm not sure where the $180 came from, but I did mention to her what it could be best case scenario. But that's not the best case scenario, because we talked between me assessing it and the physical, and before having to do the physical repair, because I don't buy anything a customer don't need without their permission. So that's why we got on the phone and had that conversation about renegotiating the price and what needs to be done versus what can be done. That's where the $600 came into play. We sat on the phone right here and we had that conversation. We understood, and she shows up with this shit, $180. Now, I did explain to her, I don't have clientele that do this. All right. And what needs to happen, this car is going to stay here, and you need to go get the rest of the money and come back tomorrow, and then you can get your car. All right. There was some other things said between them, but I've had some belligerent folks, us act out. But she knew what she was doing. And I told her, I know you know what you're doing, because we know what we agreed upon. She said, well, I don't remember $500. That's fine. We got it in text message. I've sued a couple people in my life. I know to get things in text message. Here's the text. She said, well, yeah, you were right. Damn right I'm right. Car's going to stay here. Call me tomorrow. She owed $310. So what happened, honestly, she shows me the $180. She said, hold on, wait. She goes back to the car and she comes back with $90. She said, here's $90. This is all I got. And looks at me like I'm supposed to be like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, baby. You pretty. I'm sorry. You go ahead and take it on. You're a beautiful young girl. I don't give a fuck how a woman looks. So I'm serious. I don't. Women are everywhere. They're a dime a dozen. Give me my money. And maybe all them other simps and stuff and all them other guys that don't get laid or anything is probably willing to sit there and, let shit slide. No, this is business. And, you get people that's the thing, like when it comes to vetting people. I mean, I'm pretty sure like a lot of y'all guys that are probably older, some of the mechanics around here actually let the customer dictate their price. Well, what do you think is worth? I don't do that. I've seen people do those type of business practices, but I think what happens, they allow themselves, hear me out, I think they shortchange themselves based off their skill and their abilities to where they give themselves a low value, and the low quality client keeps them at a low standard, and they never improve their quality and their abilities. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm kind of like that in a way. I don't care about diesel. I don't care about body work. I'm not going to sit there and work or do body work or anything. I'm intellectually lazy in that department. I'm intellectually lazy when it comes to working on diesels. I don't care to know. I got more stuff than what I want to do with these gasoline vehicles. And I don't know if you're at my knee pop. I got more than what I willing to deal with. I got an engine I got to rebuild next with petrol engine, hybrid vehicles. All this stuff. I mean, this is and everything's forever changing. I don't care. No. I'm not, I don't. They don't phase me. What clients think you're worth. You know what you're worth, mechanics. You know what your skill set is worth. Why let somebody else dictate that? You know, and what makes a good mechanic a great mechanic, honestly, I'm just gonna be honest. Knowing how to get yourself out of shit that you fuck up. When you screw something up, can you go back and fix it? Or are you gonna patch it up and hopefully they don't see it and you forget about it? That's one big thing. Can you go over what you screwed up? Do you have personal accountability? Hey, look, I screwed this up. I'm gonna pay for it. I mean, this can be something simple. I had a freaking car I worked on go to pull the damn dipstick out, broke the freaking handle. Hey, I broke your dipstick. I got you a brand new one. Sorry. People should appreciate that. It was only that one time where, because I had a bad week one week, and I had damaged. Was it that week? It was a Volvo too. I told the lady to come back and get an estimate. Like, go get an estimate and I'll pay for the damage because I had backed into her car by mistake. I damaged bumpers on customer cars, just moving stuff around the parking lot. I had 2 one week. Luckily, my brother do body work because my body work is shit. Luckily, he know how to do it. He fixed them bumpers better than brand new for $300 a bumper. So I had to pay $600 to him to fix my mistake. Seriously. So but it cost me, you know, but that's why we have money on the reserve for that in case something happens. That's what the insurance stuff is for. You pay out of pocket, the customer appreciate the shit that you're doing, and then you go on to the next job and recoup your money. Just take a small hit. I wish I can do that with a lot of things in life. I mean, I got stories, man, but that lady, I haven't had that happen in a while. And I'm gonna be honest, because of the referral system I have, is 1 out of 100. You got some people that are uncooperative when it comes to negotiations. But the good thing, like my brother, he does housework. Like he does paint and drywall, rebuild all interior and stuff. I get them guys credit. Hell, some of the client stuff I work on, they do interior work. Y'all don't have collateral. Y'all got to put a lien on their house and all that other fancy shit. Like I got collateral. And then on top of that, again, if a customer cannot understand anything, if we have a conversation and I start seeing elements when it comes to reasoning skills, comprehension skills, I don't want them. Like I can say, that's what a diagnostic cost is for. It's like the HOA of the automotive industry. That's what it's for. It's to keep certain people away. I'm gonna take care of them. They're gonna pay. You know, the client's they want to find out what's going on with the car. They're gonna pay. And I know sometimes the prices are a little higher than the dealer in times, but they're paying for attentiveness. They're paying for direction. They're paying for me to go through a process of deduction to help go through this elimination process to give them direction. That's what they're paying for. Because a lot of times, believe it or not, whatever I charge for the assessment, I'm not going to tell you how much I charge for, but these things get fixed. Okay. I'm going to say 90, currently right now, I have not had a car this year that I have not been able to fix. 100% of the vehicles have been able to be fixed. There's a lot of vehicles that I don't document because it's a time management thing. I need to jump from one vehicle to another, to another, to another. But I do try to upload the intricate things that I find fascinating, you know, but I do not need the distraction of recording when it comes to getting some of these vehicles. But yeah, people are going to compensate you appropriately for your time. And I know it hurts, but how much does a fix cost? If you went to the doctor, how much does it cost to get fixed? You know, but that's a total different conversation. I think that's very debatable. But you know, if the client can't articulate themselves, can't be clear and concise, can't understand, can't formulate a sentence, complain about prices, buying their own parts, I don't want them. I will give them one of the other mobile mechanics numbers real quick. Here, hey, look. Here, call this guy. I think he'll be able to help you out a lot more than what I could. Leave it alone. That's it. I literally was complaining for about 24 minutes right now. I haven't did one of these videos in a while, but I'm gonna let this ride out. I'm gonna let this ride out because I do got to put a power steering pressure hose on there, and I'm pretty sure somebody saw a broken lug right there. This is a Honda. The 3 is fine. It can actually ride on 2 if it wanted to. Not literally. 3 is fine though. We'll talk about that in the future. Anyway, hey, look, I got to work on this car and get this power steering pressure hose put on. But that was my bitch complaint. I hope I don't get demonetized for that because I did say some cuss words. I did talk about, the scholars of my culture, and the internet don't like that. But I do have I do pose certain views that are unfavorable. Anyway, hey, look, I'm gonna get on. If anything happened, I'll definitely update. I don't. The intro don't even the outro don't even correlate with what the hell I'm talking about. I'll see y'all later.